Live stream. Does this look good? Setting up?
It's going a little farther than last time. Last time it stuck at like 20%.
Got it. Hey, really right.
So this is our YouTube channel called Saladana. Oh, but that's interesting. That picture there, I think, is still me. So, oh, you know why? Maybe because I'm logged in as well, and then I've also got this one. That might have been why. It was like, what email do you want to use? Got it. This can go. And I want 7 factors, broadcast meeting. This is the one that didn't work. Okay. Great. Okay. Hello, Lara and Javier. And welcome. Wow, nice to see some real people instead of, I mean, not that you were fake, but yeah, so let's see. Whether I just leave it like that. And you guys online, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Cool. Oh, what I need. I'll be right back. Let's mute a couple people here. So there are some people here I don't quite recognize. I'm Jim, and maybe you could tell me, I know you, but I don't know your name. Tell me your name.
Petra.
Huh?
Petra.
Etna. Okay, nice. Thank you for coming.
Celeste.
Celeste.
Sure. No.
Julieta. Grace. Gina.
Nato.
Huh, that was nice. Jim. And I guess, hey, you know, we could do it, we'll do it online here, starting, let's see, we do it in order of the participants list. If you could see it, maybe say your name.
Lara? Caitlin?
Okay.
Javier.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Gore.
Hello, Gore. And Robert. Hello, Robert.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
That's quite all right. I'll put him back on mute. Okay, so most of you know I haven't not been here for 2 months. Seems like a long time, but every time I come back, the place is just prettier than ever. I love it. So for those of you who might be new or maybe forgot, like I do, what we usually do on Sundays is we will meditate for 30 minutes or so, 31 or 2 minutes. And then we'll have a little discussion maybe about meditation or if there's any questions and answers. Lately, we've been doing walking meditation, but I am thinking we're getting close to being able to have breaks again, maybe like we used to. We used to have tea breaks. It's kind of fun. We're not quite there yet. I'm hoping get the coronavirus cases down a little bit more, but we'll start doing that. So we'll do a little walking meditation, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Buddha Dharma, which we've been talking about the 7 factors of awakening. And we are on the last factor, which is equanimity, equanimidad. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And hopefully when you all leave, you will feel equanimous. So, are there any questions or concerns? fears. I've been reading a new book by a PhD neuroscientist, meditation master, and it's very detailed. It's like if you like lists and if you like to be told exactly how to do something, this would be a good book to read. Mind Illuminated. And he talks about, establishing a home practice, establishing a daily practice. And the very first step is just to get over, those fears or those concerns or those resistances or whatever they might be. And then it was funny, after you get past that, then you still have procrastination. So maybe you'll get to, yes, I'm gonna meditate. I'm determined to do it, but you'll procrastinate. Not now, but maybe in an hour or this afternoon. So since you're here, I've assumed you've overcome the fear and the procrastination part, which is very nice. And what we have been doing is somewhat following the 7 factors of awakening, especially when we were talking about samadhi, which is stability of mind or concentration. Now we're in equanimity. Equanimity is something that both comes as a result of these other steps, starting from mindfulness all the way to samadhi, the stability of mind. This just naturally produces or yields to equanimity. It's just a natural state of these steps. And we can cultivate equanimity. So we can do certain things to help it along. And equanimity, being like a balance of mind and heart, where we don't get too upset by things that are difficult, and we may not also get too crazy excited about stuff that's good, but we still enjoy life and we are joyful and happy and so forth. But we're not like, yeah, Real Madrid won, we're not quite like that. And especially, I think equanimity comes in handy when we're encountering suffering, when we're encountering difficulty, not only our own, but of other people, right? Having the spaciousness. In fact, I brought this book, which I'm going to donate to our library, which we have our librarian and librarian possibly assisted as well. And I really love this book, and it's one of the few times I've read a book and then not marked it all up so I can donate it. Fortunately, it was in English, so I didn't have to translate too many words. But I just want to read you what he said about equanimity. Fine. See, I didn't underline it, so it's harder to find. Where did you go there, equanimity? Here it is, here it is, here it is. So Martin Allward, who's a teacher that I've been following for some number of years, and he teaches out of France. He says, rather than equanimity, I prefer to translate the classical Buddhist term, which is upekkha, as the vastness of heart. The vastness of heart. So just imagine a heart so vast, so open, it's like you could fill this whole room and beyond, and everything can fit in it. That's kind of how he looks at equanimity, at this particular upekkha. So having said all that, in our meditation, we're going to do our usual samatha, try to concentrate, and not concentrate really, but how to kind of stabilize the mind, calm the mind, center the mind a little bit. And then I'm going to throw in just a couple phrases that are typically used to cultivate equanimity. Kind of cultivate equanimity. And you can play with those phrases, or you can just keep on practicing the samadhi. Okay? Okay. I think I said this. No, I did not. I had said for an hour, but we're going to do 30 minutes. Okay. Any questions? No? Watch here. Okay, here we go. So the first step really is to establish a comfortable posture. So you want a posture where hopefully you can maintain it for the full 30 minutes. So it's important that the back is straight and the head and the shoulders are over the hips. Your legs are crossed normally, or if you're on a chair, you have your feet planted on the ground to create like a tripod, very stable foundation. And then with your attention, allow yourself to hear the sounds in the room. Maybe you hear the heating system, you can hear the sound of my voice, maybe sounds from the street, sounds in the room. Hearing, listening is an excellent way to establish yourself in the present moment. As soon as we're listening, we're in the present moment. And now, allow your awareness, your peripheral awareness, to be aware of others in the room, of the room itself. The space. And now start to notice bodily sensations. The sounds in the room, the awareness of the room remains, but it's now more in the background. And we move our attention to the body sensations. Estamos atentos, ¿no? To the sensations in the body. And with this attention, it's important that it not be too efforted, that it be relaxed. Just gently feeling the sensations. The sound still in the background, but present. The room still in the background, but present. So now I invite you to start to feel the breath. Notice the breath. It's not so much the actual breath or the idea of the breath, but any sensation in the body that is caused by the breathing. We're attending to sensation, sensaciones. So movement of the body, expansion of the belly, expansion of the chest, maybe a tickling at the nostrils. So our attention, our awareness is still broad, feeling the whole body breathing. And if it's helpful for you, you can count the breath. Maybe count the exhales up to 5. And then start again. If that's too short, you could go up to 10, but nothing beyond 10. And of course, when there's thought, we notice them, but we let them be also in the background. Don't push them away. Don't try to shut them up. Just allow them to be in the background and allow the sensations of the breath to be in the foreground. Primero plano y segundo plano. So now I invite you to pay attention to the sensations of the breathing at the nostrils. See if you can stay with the breath, stay with the sensations of the breath at the nostrils. Counting if it's helpful, labeling, breathing in, breathing out, if it's helpful. And if that gets too tiring or too stressful, you can always back up and go back to the whole body breathing. This is not meant to be stressful. It should be a very relaxed attention, observing the breath. Noticing the sensations. Thoughts and sounds in the room, all in the background. Anytime we notice that our mind has drifted off, is lost in thought, that's really a moment of celebration, a moment of mindfulness. And so we try not to criticize ourselves or judge ourselves. Instead, we just come back to attending to the sensations of the breath. We don't need to push the thought away or close the door on it. Just simply come back to attending to the sensations of the breathing. So in these final few minutes of our formal practice, if you want to repeat a classical phrase, I will offer it. I wanted to get it right. All beings are the heirs of their karma. Their happiness or unhappiness depends on their actions, not upon my wishes. All beings are heirs to their own karma. Their happiness or unhappiness depends on their actions, not upon my wishes. All beings are heirs to their own karma. Their happiness or unhappiness depends on their actions, not upon my wishes. So, no matter how this meditation has gone, it's in the past, let's bring our attention back into the whole body. infusing, refilling the body with awareness, with attention, noticing any sensations, and then bringing your attention to your heart space, your heart center, the chest. Reminding yourself of the traditional upekkha, equanimity phrase that all beings are heirs to their karma, that their unhappiness or happiness depends on their actions and not our wishes. And we can still wish them well. So sending first metta, well-wishing, goodwill to ourselves, thanking ourselves for our practice, thanking ourselves for having come here today on this Sunday, take care of ourselves, to connect with ourselves, to nurture ourselves in this way. And then mentally thanking everyone else in this room and on this call, and extending this gratitude, this goodwill, this appreciation out in all directions, touching all life. And when you hear the sound of the bell, just noticing what, if anything, comes up for you. Thank you all very much. It's very nice and quiet. And I'm curious, those of you on Zoom, were you able to hear the bell for the full ringing of the bell, or did it shut off?
Oh, I did. I heard it right at the end.
Right to the end? Oh, good.
Yeah, it was really nice.
It was an adjustment. I think, Carlos, you told me, the one told me about that? No. So it's funny, I sort of panicked because I forgot the words of that phrase. I kept trying to remember it. So fortunately, I found it in this book, tablet that was at hand. There's actually another phrase that wasn't spoken by the Buddha, but I kind of like better. I'm going to see if I can just quickly find it. I won't look for it too long, but if I can just jump right into it, I will use it. Let's see, Brahma Viharas, Equanimity. Oh, there's a bunch. I could have just put this up. Okay, this is okay. So here I'm going to share this because these are great. Actually taken some good notes, looks like, in the past. So share screen. Okay, so these are some other phrases. Not all of these phrases are as ancient as that one, but so may I be at peace with your journey. I like that one because it's so pithy, right? It's so short. This one saved my tail many times with respect to my children, right? Especially my one daughter. And so I would just remind myself, may I be at peace with her journey, right? And it was so helpful just to remind myself that, because I wanted to get in there and change her journey. I wanted her to do it different or make different choices or whatever. And so I was suffering. She was fine, probably, but I was suffering. So that was such a good one and so pithy. And we can use it with anybody. Like, oh gosh, I haven't looked at this for really some time, I'm embarrassed to say. But like my mother right now is just not a happy camper. She's 85 and she doesn't like being 85. She doesn't like being old. She doesn't like being weaker and tireder. And, she just can't accept it. And so I need to remind myself, may I be at peace with her journey, because it's her gig, May I have peace and equanimity with whatever arises. It's a good one, right? May I have peace and equanimity with whatever arises. May I abide, right, in well-being. This is a variation. May I abide in well-being in myself. May I be free from hostility, free from affliction, free from anxiety. So it's sort of like a wish that we're sort of putting out to the universe, but these kind of things change our brain cells, really. They change the patterns of our mind that might be critical, that might be judgmental, that might be cynical, that might be negative. I'm conscious of the fact that this is on YouTube, so it's recorded, but not that I expect my mother ever to look at it. But like, this is the opposite of my mother, She wanted a new phone, a new iPhone for Christmas. So we got her a new iPhone, right? And of course, it doesn't work like the old one. She had like a 7, and now she has 13. It's like a whole different world. And everything always goes bad for me. It doesn't work. And so kind of the antidote to that, right, is may I be free from hostility, even my own hostility towards myself or towards the phone, right? May I be free from affliction. Again, affliction of my own thoughts, my own criticisms, free from anxiety. Okay, this one's a little variation of what I had said during the meditation. I care for you deeply, but I cannot control your happiness or unhappiness. I'm sorry, that's a good one. It's kind of sort of sad, but I care for you deeply, but I cannot control your happiness or unhappiness. You are on your own. Your experience is yours, or mine, or whatever. The results of your actions, not my wishes for you. Get a variation on this one. This is the same in Spanish for, todos los seres son leídos. All right, that's what I read. De su propia karma, su felicidad o infelicidad depende de sus acciones y no de mis deseos. No sé if it's good Spanish, but my Spanish. So, yeah, so those are some phrases that we can use, to remind ourselves. I admit I've sort of forgotten this, that especially that first one was so useful for a good couple years. May I be at peace with your journey. May I be at peace with the journey of Saladana, right? There were times when I was not at peace with the plumber or, the architect or whatever. May I be at peace with my journey, right? With our journey. We can use this for ourselves. Because this probably, I wouldn't be surprised if the journey that probably bothers us the most is our own. Like, why did this happen? Why did I lose this job? Or why did I get COVID? Or, or why does the whole world have COVID? Or why do I have to wear this damn mask? May I be at peace with our journey, the journey of the human race right now. And these things really do, we use them like mantras. They really can retrain the mind. Where pretty soon our default, rather than being some criticism or some complaint or some aversion or whatever, will start to become these. We'll have that equanimity, that vastness of heart, as Martin Howard says. So are there any questions, comments, reflections? Anybody would like to say anything about anything? Hopefully having something to do with meditation, but
I have a question on that quote, which
Uh-huh.
got me thinking during meditation.
Okay.
And so I'm back to the topic. But how does that quote work if you're talking about, for example, someone causes harm to someone, or something else? How does that fit with that quote? Your happiness or unhappiness is not because of religion. For example, if you have someone who mistreats an animal, right?
Yeah.
And then the unhappiness of that animal is not on its actions, but on the actions of the person. What's the
yeah, first,
am I missing something there?
well, no, I don't, I think you're asking a very, kind of common question really about this. And I just want to make sure I'm going to say it on Zoom because I don't think you probably heard it. But yeah, Damien was asking, so how does this phrase, especially the one I read during the meditation, work when you have, for instance, a situation where there's really clearly a victim, like a dog that's maybe being mistreated or something like that. And how does this phrase really help the situation, help the dog, right? And even maybe help the master, help ourselves. And this is a good point. I mean, this could be a whole hour-long discussion about activism. And what was interesting, for those of you who came a little bit early, I was watching, I was part of a Zoom call, which, by the way, all the donations, which hopefully there'll be some today, I'm going to send to this meditation center in the West Bank in Palestine. And this Zoom call was a fundraiser for that, and it actually overlapped time here. But it was about engaged activism, right? And Thich Nhat Hanh was cited several times as someone who basically said that to be mindful means to be active, means to be engaged. That's the word he used, means to be engaged. Yes, you probably know better than me. Go ahead.
He came to Palestine and to Israel and gave us workshops as activists.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So if you want to share anything about what he said, because there's a perfect example where there are clearly victims where it doesn't really look like their actions are contributing to their karma. And because there's a power differential there, a difference, much like the dog and the owner. And he said, as I understand it, Thich Nhat Hanh said that we are obligated to be engaged and we're obligated to do what we can. And this, even as I read it, it was funny. I had the same thought. I was kind of like, God, somebody could really interpret this as like, well, sorry, you're on your own. But I think what it's pointing to is we are engaged, we are active, but we don't suffer, right? Because what's important is not that the dog, let's say, is saved. I mean, we want that, but it is our intention. It is our action. It is our movement towards non-harm. We can only do what we can do, but if we're so fixated, and a lot of activists are very fixated, right, on the result, they want stuff now, and they suffer. And I know many activists who just suffer. You know, they get stuff done in a way, but they're also miserable. And that isn't the Buddhist way, really. So we are cultivating equanimity within ourselves, with our practice, and maybe with these phrases or whatever, and we're also doing what we can. But you wouldn't do it, let's say, if it was going to cause you harm. You know, if the guy that, say, was mistreating the dog also had something that could mistreat you, you know, hurt you and stuff. Yes, go ahead. Oh, sorry, was all that audible? At least my response. And then we have a wonderful guest here who spent 15 years in Jerusalem as a student from Palestine, or Thich Nhat Hanh. And I want to see, did you say, yeah, maybe you will, but okay, I want to make sure they hear it on Zoom. Go ahead, Julia.
I just wanted to ask, what is karma in Buddhism?
Karma is that actions have consequences.
So it's the same as in like Hinduism.
Hinduism, I don't know as well, and I think Hinduism, the idea of karma can be a little bit maybe not so cut and dry as that, but I don't know, but maybe, yeah, maybe it's the same. But in the Buddhist context, it's quite simply actions have consequences. Thoughts have consequences. Speech has consequences. It all has consequences. Not sure. Did you hear that? She asked just whether it's the same. Yeah.
I really wanted to thank you, Albania, for these very deep reflections on equanimity. I would also really be thankful if you could send me those phrases.
Oh, sure. Yeah, just remind me. I can copy them. And
the thing is that, well, I can only share my personal experience, but I've been in activists like in the United Nations, in the European Parliament, government, city hall. I've done everything that can be done in activism, and it's been from my ego, and that's caused me so much suffering. And I see this in activists, but with people, it's been the same thing, you know, like wanting to help people, but it's been more like from my codependency, because I wanted them to like me, or because I had these favorite figures and I wanted to have their approval. And at the end, it's like some energy that, well, not some intention, which is supposed to be like pure, peaceful, loving intention, it gets changed into suffering, into frustration, into even hate, you know, into confrontation and going against things. And it seems like from equanimity, things can become so much more wise, so that the intention changes, and it's a loving intention trying to add things and generate new ways of doing things instead of fighting against them from your ego, you know. And the most important thing for me is that when you do things this way, you are not suffering so much, you are not doing things from suffering, you are doing things from your inner peace and from loving yourself, and from that love and changing your inner world, trying to also change or heal the world around you, instead of driving yourself crazy and driving everyone around you also crazy. I don't know if I explain myself.
well, yeah, I'll just say to the Zoom people, and then if I didn't get it right, you can tell me. But Nacho was just saying how in his experience, where he was an activist at all levels of government and so forth, a lot of times he was doing it coming from a place of ego or codependency, and he ended up suffering a lot. And I think this is a very common experience for a lot of activists. And what I heard you say is that equanimity, or this Buddhist way, actually gives us another way to do it. In which case we're doing it from the heart, we're doing it because we care, and we have that balance, that vastness of heart to be able to stay composed, stay happy, and not suffer as a result of our activism. And yes, it is possible. And again, all these things are practices. You know, that's what I really like about Buddhism, is we're just practicing. And with any kind of practice or any kind of training, it does get a little bit easier, a little bit better. You know, we move forward on the path. And so there will be many times when, yeah, I mean, like I was watching this video, so maybe we're not going to do a walking meditation. Is that okay? That we don't do that? Because okay, we're doing a talking meditation. So the man, Palestinian man who is going to, he started the center in his house. That's where it is now. But now he's bought some land and he wants to build a structure. So I didn't know of him, but so he comes, they first tell his story, and then they, in part of the video, he tells his story about how, so he was shot by the Israeli Defense Forces, and the bullet went into his shoulder, in through his lungs, hit his spinal cord, and then it was some kind of bullet that then explodes. It doesn't keep on going, it explodes, right? And he didn't die, fortunately, but he is paralyzed and he's in a wheelchair. And see, this just touches me too damn deeply, right? So this is where my equanimity can't withstand it. It's like, oh my God. And the one time I went to the West Bank and did a 9-day intensive, nonviolent communication intensive, that was one of the things I was so struck, was the equanimity by these Palestinian people who every one of them had lost somebody to the IDF, and all the men had spent at least a year in jail. And yet they were like so calm. It was unbelievable. It was so inspiring.
There's an Arabic word for that, sumud. It means to be steadfast.
Oh, okay. So samud. Apparently, I've learned that samud is the Arabic word. It means steadfast, and that was really how they were. I mean, you know, and steadfast can be like this too, but it was so loving. They were just, you know, the one guy, he invited me to Hebron to visit him, and I got their numbers and all this kind of stuff. And so it can be done, right? Even under the kind of conditions that they endure in Palestine and in the West Bank and so forth. It can be done where we can be activists, we can do good, and we can stay equanimous. We don't need to suffer. And I must admit, I would much rather be sad than angry, which is how I used to be. And maybe you too, Nacho, I don't know. I mean, so damn angry. Now instead, I feel really sad. And sometimes I want to cry, and sometimes I do cry. And I got a feeling that's probably that's forward progress, right, from where I was. But still, beyond, I imagine, is, yeah, you kind of feel a quivering of the heart. The heart quivers, but we don't break down and cry and then become, you know, unable to help. So, yeah, let's see, what time is it? Should we walk for 5 minutes? Okay, we'll go ahead and do a little walking meditation for 5 minutes. Sound okay? Okay, so for those, is anybody new to walking meditation? Okay, so we're just going to pick like a two meter path, and you're going to walk very slowly. And now, instead of paying attention to your breath, you're going to divert your attention to your feet touching the ground, right? And then when you get to the end of your like 2 meters or whatever, you're turning around, you're conscious of the turning, and then back. And same as with the breath, when the thoughts come, which they will, you know, we just let them go into the background and we redirect our attention to the feet. That's probably good. And if it's your first time, definitely be easy on yourself, don't worry. Okay, so I'll set this for 5 minutes. So since we're a few people, why don't we go this way? So we're not like bumping into each other. You for that. I did feel good. So with a little bit of time we have, because I'm going to save a little more time at the end for some announcements. Yeah, maybe I'll just start in what we could talk about this more next week as well, but start to talk about equanimity in this seventh factor from the Joseph Goldstein mindfulness book, which we've been relying on and reading. And there's actually quite a bit there to unpack, and sometimes, for me, sometimes I love just learning something for the sake of learning it, just like learning what the seven factors are, or the Noble Eightfold Path, or whatever, and it just feels good to learn. And then other times, like these phrases, sometimes, they can be really useful. Like that one, may I be at peace with my journey, with your journey, with our universe's journey. And, the metta one that we say at the end of, may you be happy, may I be happy, may you be well. This one has saved my skin many times. Now, most of the time, when my mind goes into like resentment, where it immediately is mad at somebody for something, I've got that phrase, oh, may you be happy, may you be happy. And it just seems to put it to rest for at least a moment, So they can be very, very practical as well. It's not just reading or learning for the sake of learning. But there is a lot here, and I have it on my tablet. I probably do also have it in there, but I'm going to maybe just pick a couple things, and then maybe next week I'll pull it down so we can all kind of look at it a little bit. So the one I'm going to do now is really kind of traditional Buddhism taught by the Buddha, and it can be helpful. It can be helpful, especially as a reminder. So this one is called Equanimity as a Quality of Balance, right? And so there are these 8 vicissitudes that we all experience, or we're thought to all experience, right? And so the first one is gain and loss, right? So this is just kind of part of life, right? Or sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. There's gain and there's loss. This is a very important, one of the things that really runs through this whole equanimity piece, and I'm wondering when's going to be the best time to really dig in, because I know like Lara and others are really interested in this, but it's this concept of self. It's this concept of what is me, what is mine, what is myself, right? And in Buddhism, really nothing is me, and nothing is mine, and nothing is myself, you can almost say, or it's not what we think it is. And this includes this thing about gain and loss, right? So whenever we take something to be I or mine, right, now we're worried about gain or loss. But if you think about it, if there isn't an I or a mind, then there is no gain or loss. It's only when we invest ourselves into it, right? And I love to use sports metaphors. I come from a family of sports addicts, right? I mean, just crazy sports fans who watch any game. And I've seen such misery, literally. I mean, like you'd think their child had died or something. They were so upset because their team lost. And what's funny about sports is, maybe when reality, I've had the good fortune of being in France when France won the World Cup, or World Cup, yeah, the World Cup, right? And I was in Germany when Germany won it. So the last 2 times I was actually in the country that won the World Up, right? Happens every 4 years. And so you do want to know where I'm going to be in case you're going to bet the next time. Hopefully I'll be in Spain, right? And so in Germany, it was in Munich, right? It was pretty tranquil, it's like there were a few people, kind of happy and stuff like that, but it was pretty sedate. I was in Bordeaux when France won. There were idiots up on the fountains, just like 2 stories up, screaming. I mean, the whole place went berserk. So I guess gain can have some pretty high highs, at least if you're French. But most of the time, the loss, the pain of the loss is way greater than the happiness related to the gain. It's just kind of the way we're built. So anyway, gain and loss. And then there's praise and blame. So praise, what you did was so nice, or you're such a good person, or you're so handsome, or whatever. Or why did you do that? Because you did that, I now suffer, or whatever. Praise and blame. This is another one of these dualities that it happens to all of us, right? Sometimes it's like, this is probably more transparent than I maybe should be, but it's like when I come here to Sadhana, right? People are more praiseworthy towards me, right? They're very appreciative of what I've done or whatever. But when I go like to France, it's not like that. They don't even know what I did in Spain. Not that they're blaming me necessarily, but they do sometimes when I'm on my bike. And maybe I don't stop at the little light, exactly that little bike red, you're supposed to stop. But there's like nobody there. So I'll go, and then especially it's usually some lady, right? Speaking in French, you're supposed to stop. So that'd be blame. And then, in Joseph Goldstein, he talks about how he wrote a book. His first book was One Dharma, and he watched his mind when the reviews came in, right? Some were praiseworthy, and some were not. The Buddha apparently said this: as a solid mass of rock is not moved by the wind, so a sage, we're all sages, right, is not moved by praise and blame. Okay, the third group is fame and disrepute. So I think it was Andy Warhol, who said maybe we're all going to have like 5 or 15 minutes or something like that of fame. Some of us maybe less, some of us more. But we'll have that moment where we'll be kind of famous for some reason, maybe in our family or amongst our friends or to ourselves or whatever, or disrepute, where we have terrible reputation. And then the final one, which we can all definitely relate to, is pleasure and pain. Pleasure and pain. And this one is probably the one that is most at play most of the time, right? Because we're seeking pleasure and we're pushing away pain just constantly. And so when we have this equanimity, we have no preferences. It doesn't matter whether it's painful or not. Most of the time, the pushing away of pain causes more pain than the pain itself. We just could turn towards it and experience it, and we might find out, it's really not all that bad. And so this is equanimity. Let's see if there's anything I can add to that from Mr. Goldstein. Okay, so this is from the Buddha. Praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and sorrow come and go like the wind. To be happy, rest like a great tree in the midst of them all. And this is like Thich Nhat Hanh uses a lot of imagery like trees and mountains and stuff like that. And I think it's because when you think of a mountain, it's pretty stable, right? It's not pushed around unless it's like the volcano in the Canaries, I guess. It's not pushed around by wind or even rain or storms or whatever. And that's kind of the idea. And yes, they come as a result of our work and these other factors, and we can cultivate it. And we'll talk a little bit more about the cultivating next week. So are there any questions, comments? Anybody want to say anything about equanimity, vastness of heart? Okay, so I wanted to bring up a couple things, like announcements sort of things. So first, I want to introduce Eric, because Eric doesn't come very way. Brought you back real quick. Huh? So Eric is also a member of the junta that is the managing entity, or the managing, not really entity, it's a managing organization or something of Dhanasati, which is the owner of Saladana, right? So this is Eric Kumitz. And then Carlos, as many of you know, is also on the junta. And then we're only missing Alex. What'd you say? You want to say hi, Eric? And I've known you 7 years probably.
Oh,
Yeah. And besides being a practitioner, Eric also has experience in numbers. He's a chief financial officer of a company, right? Yeah. So, fortunately, he's not. Emilio will be talking about this, but he's not doing the bookkeeping of €3 and €5. More the big picture. So number one. So number two, the junta, we're kind of looking for some diversity because we are 4 white dudes. So we'd at least like a female or something. So if at least.
That didn't come out right.
It didn't sound right at all. All right, we want, what could I say that better? We want to at least have sexual diversity at a minimum. Here in Spain, to have racial diversity, and well, gender might be easier, but racial is harder than other places. But anyway, so if anybody's interested, we are looking to maybe get some diversity gender-wise at least, and then also expand it a little bit. What the junta does is it just sort of has a big picture of what's happening here, and then it makes the decisions such as, do we change the afaro? Do we change the limit of how many people we can have? When do we start having breaks? Stuff like that. So just a thought. And then another announcement, in 2 weeks, I want to do a special Sunday where we're going to have food here. Because the day after is going to be my birthday. And I would like you all to come and celebrate my birthday with me. And I wish as many of you who do it from Zoom, if you can come, that would be great. And hopefully we won't have a super spreader like COVID event or anything. So it's 2 weeks to get rid of COVID. So you're all invited.
So it's the 20th, right?
It'd be the 20th, yeah, 20. My birthday's on the 21st, but I was thinking, if I said to Chema, Chema, we're gonna throw a party. No, I said, we'll do it. And, okay, and then the final thing is, so tonight, if you're able, so first I'll just talk about Dana, just real quickly. So for those of you who don't know, the way we set this Saladana up was as an experiment in generosity, which, by the way, equanimity in the Theravada tradition is one of what are called the paramis. It's the 10th of the paramis, the perfections. And the first one is generosity. And so we try to practice that here. And again, it's a practice. It's something that comes naturally with the path, and it's also something we can practice. And so for tonight, though, I want to donate 100% of what we donate together to this mindfulness center in Palestine, which, let me make sure I got the name right. Let's see, what would be the best way to find the name? Give me 1 second here. Whoops. It's funny, Gmail, you can't like bookmark your particular account. It just does like the last one or something. It is called the Garden of Hope. Oh, what a beautiful name, huh? So to the Garden of Hope, you can see that, right? Yeah. You guys might not be able to see it, but it's called the Garden of Hope. And you know what was so beautiful also about this guy's presentation? So it's going to be in the West Bank. It's in the occupied territory. He's a Palestinian man, but he's like, everybody is invited. No exceptions. And I really thought that was beautiful. I know that some Israeli Jews can't even go into the West Bank, but they're also invited if they can make it.
Some do.
Yeah, yeah.
The soldiers can do them.
Yeah, or you can get fined. I think you get a very stiff fine, right? It's like $1,500 or something.
I understand, but really, the meetings now.
The meetings would be worse. I think I'd rather pay the fine. But in any case, this is something that is something I'd like, and I have to talk to the junta and make sure, but we've talked about this before. But I'm really hoping that the Asociación de Danasati, the mothership of Saladana, and Saladana can be an activist, a place for activism, right? A place for good, a place for non-harm, where we could do stuff out of here that maybe helps people right here in Madrid or beyond, like this. So this is a kind of the first step in that direction, but feels right.
Having a meeting between Palestinian and Israeli people, Madrid,
Say it again. I didn't understand your
about
question.
having a meeting of Palestinian people and Israeli people.
Yeah, maybe.
That is not very.
Well, let's, because our time is just about up, and I want to close this. Ooh, we passed our time. Wow, that was quick. So are you guys on Zoom okay with a quick metta meditation, and then we'll take us out? Okay. So for those of you who don't know, we're going to do another quick meditation, and this one is also phrase-based. It's one of the Brahma Viharas, which Upeka is also the fourth one. This is the first one, called metta, loving kindness or goodwill. And so I'm going to say some phrases out loud. And I'm really sorry we went over on time. I kind of overestimated how long it would take me to say what I did. So I'll say some phrases. We're going to do 4 groups, starting with ourself, right? So I put the oxygen on yourself first before you give it to the kid. They tell you on the plane. So we're going to give ourselves some goodwill, and then we're going to go to a benefactor, a person we love, and then we're going to go to a difficult person, and then all beings. So I'll say some phrases, and you can repeat them to yourself. Starting with, may I be happy. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And now a benefactor, somebody you really admire, could be the now deceased Thich Nhat Hanh, or maybe the Buddha, Jesus, could be a wonderful aunt or uncle, grandparent, pet. Bring that being to mind. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now, what's often called the difficult person. So this might include somebody who said something or didn't say something, did something or didn't do something that you wanted. Maybe there's a little resentment there, a little hurt. Bring that person to mind. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now all beings in all directions, without exception, may all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. Finally, in the tradition of renunciation, letting go, we'll offer up the fruit of our practice today, our Buddha nature, our Sangha. Offer this up to the benefit of all beings. May all beings be happy, happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence, discrimination, racism, and coronavirus. And may all beings find their path, find their factors that will lead them to equanimity, lead them to peace. May all beings be free. Thank you all very much. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you guys on Zoom for coming.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank
Hope
you.
everyone has a peaceful week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Are you going to be there next week?
Yes, I'll be here. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Please
good.
come.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will. I will. I didn't know that you were coming in today.
I wanted it to be a surprise for you, Gore.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I hope to see you all in person, Lada someday, and the rest of you soon, very soon.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And so for you guys, one last announcement is that sometimes, I don't know if you've been going out, but we often go out and have some supper afterwards, some vegetarian food. Everybody's invited and hopefully, yeah, you'll join. That's it. Thank you all for coming. By the way, in the donations, you can make a financial, just like moneda or billetes or whatever in the box. But we also have Buddhism. Such a weird word, but Buddhism. And then you could just do a transferencia, and there should be something on the board there with that information or on the website. It says donativo and it has it there.